Voyage. I'm chatting with Conrad Empson from CrewPass. Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers for having me.
So I want to start with your career on Superyacht. So you started in the yachting industry in 2014 as a deckhand.
Yeah.
Then progressed to bosun, but then came ashore in 2018. Tell me a little bit about your experience as crew and also what made you realise it was time to come ashore?
I thoroughly enjoy being crew, and being crew genuinely shaped me into the person that I was today. Like the lessons I learned, the regiment side of things, every lesson I learned has helped me today and kind of shaped me from the no space I was going beforehand to where we're going now. But I always felt that longing desire to move ashore and to have a life outside of yachting. As much as I enjoyed it, as much as the money was great and the people that surrounded me were amazing, there was always that sense of, I want to be home. I want to be living a normal life as such.
Sure.
So that happened for like the last year. And I think the transition ashore, the whole below deck sequence and all that sort of stuff happened as a knee-jerk kind of reaction to move out of that industry.
Right. So you're the founder and managing director of CrewPass, which was founded in 2021. What is CrewPass and how did you come up with the idea? And tell me the process of founding your company.
CrewPass was built out of a safety kind of perspective. When I left working on boats, I went and worked for a superyacht security company called Marine Guard. And a lot of what they did was obviously based around the security of the boats. A lot of that is consultancy, like as in where are your security threats? And every single time the conversation was brought up about background checks. And I was always kind of asked as an ex-crew member, what kind of background checks were done on crew members? And it always made me think back to every time we were a crew member, we were told to walk down a dock, hand your CV out to every single boat. And as long as you had a great attitude on the dock or on the phone to the captain that you've applied for a job over the internet on, you were welcomed on board this boat. I found that fascinating and scary at the same time. Like the first boat I worked on, I was welcomed on board the boat, no questions asked, as long as I had my STCW. And you were working with some of the most powerful people in the world.
Sure.
I was literally my first boss trip, the first day that boss got on, I was off chaperoning the kids with the nanny to a water park and a theme park in the same day. Just let go with these two children.
That's wild, isn't it?
And it's nuts. Like this owner thinks all of these people have been vetted and they have really no idea kind of how that process works. So CrewPass was designed to create a more secure way of being able to employ people and being able to check people before they come on board.
So you saw a niche because you had experienced it yourself in the sense that you pitched up, got this job on the owner's most valuable asset, looking after the owner's kids.
Yeah.
And no one had actually bothered to check anything about you properly.
Like when you think about it, you're in a floating tin can in the middle of the sea. The captain's job is to employ people, create a safe environment on board. And these people are flown in from all over the world. And as long as they've got an STCW or an ENG1 or whatever qualifications they need, and they've got a great attitude, no other questions are asked. So from a security side of things, from safety for crew members and for guests, it kind of came a little bit of a no-brainer. The problem was figuring out how to create a product that everyone could use and everyone could use easily. That was the kind of main hurdle we had to get over when I created it.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't thought about it that way, in the sense that obviously you're not being vetted to work with some of the most powerful people in the world on their expensive boat with their families, but also the safety of the other crew members that are there. That must actually, I'm not sure how comfortable I'd feel sharing a cabin with someone that had pitched up and was quite cheery, so had been given the job. I mean, never thought about it like that.
As a crew member working on a boat, you've always worked with the weird one. Like
there's always a weird one.
There's always a weird one on board.
In any business.
Honestly, this first boat I worked on, there was one guy on there, and everyone questioned what
did he come from?
He's like 35. He's a decky. No one's ever really asked any questions because he just gets his head down.
Yeah.
But what was he doing beforehand?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the main kind of safety side of things. And as
no
a captain,
one else saw it as an issue.
No. And as a captain, like your job is to safeguard all of those crew and to make sure that everyone is safe on board. Like you do all of these working at height, all these kind of sorts of risk assessments. However, when you're employing crew, you're phoning the references that person has given you, which is the best possible person they can put forward, and not really going, should we just do a basic background check on them just to understand who they were beforehand? Because that generally sums that person up very well. If they've got hidden skeletons in their closet and all that sort of stuff, like even just a drunk driving offence or a drug driving offence or a possession offence, that kind of sums up who that person sort of is in some sort
or
of
was
respects.
at a time, and then at least it gives you the information to make your own decision.
Exactly.
Okay, so then that's so interesting that the business idea was born out of your own experience. Then how did the process of founding go for you?
So I worked for the company Marine Guard, and the owner of that, I basically we were discussing the fact of there could potentially be something here. And he said, well, look, come up with an idea and pitch it to me, and we'll kind of see. Let's see if there's some legs there. Creating a background checking company was one thing. It was creating a product or a service. My passion's always been software. Like I enjoy creating solutions with software, and I knew that the background checking company you could you start, but getting to boats, like there's no phone book for boats or anything like that. There's no way that you can really sell this to a boat. So you had to create a product that crew members could hold as such and be able to easily share that with every recruiter, every management company, every employer to prove that they've undergone all of these checks. And it was something the crew member held and could valuably give to someone else, but securely at the same time.
But also, I guess the product, like you say, your own experiences, the captain that you were working with wasn't worried about doing background checks. So you couldn't have aimed the product at the likes of him because he wasn't interested. Whereas from a crew member's point of view, how great if you could have that information to be able to share when going for job interviews or speaking with recruiters, say, look, just FYI, I'm already checked. Here's my certificate or my tick in the box, that actually then they're already doing the due diligence for the person who's going to employ them, who doesn't probably even know that they need it, but they're already hopefully then getting ahead of a problem that might come up.
The plan always was to allow crew members to obtain something like they do with an STCW or an ENG1, and then be able to share that with employers and recruiters in a way of going, I've been checked, here's all my credentials, I'm ready to go. On the same coin, it was more about allowing employers to then see the product and then be there like, okay, well, this is great. We need to make sure that every crew member is done. To do this, we created a kind of payment solution so that if crew members decided they wanted to use this and be able to use it to stand out and be able to use it in that recruitment process, then we would allow any employer that utilized CrewPass, that got the reports for every single crew member, would take the payment off of them essentially, and we would then reimburse the crew member.
Right. Okay.
So the idea was it was a full circle where crew members could utilize it, but then captains, employers, recruiters can also benefit from the product too. So it was a full ecosystem where it worked for everyone. And that was the deployment model, and still is. Yeah.
So you obviously spotted a niche for this product, but you spotted it working on a boat where the captain wasn't that worried about that type of thing. So you've got to be quite sure of yourself that there's a market out there for it, because your experience was, well, this captain isn't interested, but I've come up with this idea to create a safer environment. How did you then, when you're founding the company, you've obviously got to be quite sure that it's going to fly, because no one starts a company and thinks, well, I think it's a good... Well, no, that's not true. People do start companies all the time thinking that they're a good idea without doing their market research. And often then they don't work. So had you spoken to other crew? Had you sort of done some research before actually signing on the dotted line and registering that company? Had you worked out that there was space and there was a want for it?
Yeah. So the one thing you have to do is market research. Like you can go away these days with the AI and everything like that, and we'll go into that in a bit, but you can just build a product, chuck it out there and see if it works. It doesn't take much money anymore. However, back then that kind of wasn't a thing. So luckily I asked the contacts that I had in hand to be able to go, look, do you think this product worked? My boat didn't use it to begin with. And I think a lot of boats didn't use it because of the feel fact of, it wasn't really a thought back then.
Yeah.
It was the way that things were done.
When it's always done like that.
You post a job on Facebook and they're judging their own expertise and the fact that they can pick out the wrong ones. And realistically, that's a bit far-fetched.
You're checking out Facebook pictures to see if they like to go out and get drunk.
Stalking Instagram, stalking Facebook and all that sort of stuff is not really the sort of checks that kind of fly. But I went to numerous recruiters and said, look, would this be a thing? Like, if you could go to your clients and be there like, look, we've done all of our normal checks. We've also done all these criminal checks and checked all their certificates and everything like that. This person is good to go. Is that more of a unique selling point for you? And every single one went, yes. If I provided you with an integration into your system where crew members could easily share this information direct into your systems, was this going to be a thing for you? I validated the idea before I'd even hit go on it.
Yeah, sure.
To make sure that if I developed a product, people were going to buy it.
So the uptake then from the start when you were flying the idea around was positive?
Yeah.
And there wasn't a product like it on the market?
There was nothing. No.
So what makes CrewPass different from how someone would normally do their checks?
Anyone can run these background checks. It is a logistical nightmare with crew being from multiple places, living in multiple countries and everything like that. To build the product to do that was a logistical nightmare. The network of suppliers that we use all around the world is quite difficult. What makes us different to other companies that did it, I've just made a more of a commercially viable product, i.e. the fact of crew members sign up, they hold something in and they can uniquely share it with everyone else. The usual background checking companies don't understand the laws and the logistics of crew members coming from all over the place. They just look at individuals as living in one country, whereas we know that they don't. Perspective. Exactly. That was it. And, our model works on more of a large-scale basis instead of just focusing on one individual check and trying to make profit from one individual check.
So more comprehensive checks, but also for the user far easier because all the information is drawn to one place.
Exactly, yeah. It's uniquely shareable between anyone. And everyone along the point takes value from it. So not only the crew member, because they hold something and they can share that, but then the recruiter then takes value from it because they can then upsell that individual to the boat saying that, look, you can take this on today because they've already had all their checks done. All you got to do is reimburse it. And then the boat, great, I can take this hire on immediately, knowing every single check's done and validated instantly. Instead of having to wait. Which is hugely
time saving.
Yeah.
What has been some of the most challenging parts of becoming a business owner, running a company and building a company?
There is one that shines a light, and I'll explain a couple, but the main one was I designed a payment system for CrewPass back in the beginning. I wanted CrewPass to be affordable to anyone and everyone. Background checks are expensive, like inherently expensive, and they range between whatever country they come from. What happens is we basically have companies all around the world that conduct our searches for us. Criminal checks, to obtain those records, you have to pay access fees. So you have to pay the South African government to access those criminal records. You have to pay, in America, for prime example, you've got to pay court runners, someone that goes from a legal office to a courthouse to obtain a record, pay for that record, and then go back to the office. You have to pay for that person. So
you're held at gunpoint if you want to get a job and you have to pay all those fees. Yeah, so I have to. When I obtain those records, I have to pay for each of those elements, and they range drastically. When I created the payment model for CrewPass, I wanted to create one standardized price for anyone. It was 200 quid for a background check, no matter where you came from, and we just take into account lots of different checks and all that sort of stuff. For crew members, I created a payment plan that allowed a crew member to pay a tenner a month for 2 years. Instead of them paying 200 quid up front, I outlay the cost of their checks. I was trying to do every crew member a favor and going, look, you've already got so much to pay for when you get a job. I don't want to be that financial burden, but at the same time, I want you to be able to leverage CrewPass to be able to stand out. I found it so difficult to get my first job. So difficult. It took me months because I couldn't stand out. So I wanted to design a product that could. Anyway, so what I did is I designed this payment system. So a crew member pays me a tenner. I would then pay the full cost of the background check, no matter what it was. I mean, I've got bills of £1,000 for one check, but I leveled it out because some of them cost less. And that crew member would then pay me for 24 months.
the money as such, like £10 a month to cover the cost of the checks. The option was always there to pay in full, but I offered this payment plan. So many crew members did not understand this, or claimed that they didn't understand it, and then would stop payments or complain about it, or didn't.
Probably because they got a job and then they didn't want to carry on paying.
This was the thing. This was the mistake I made, is in the fact of I gave someone a product, and then 6 months down the line, when they've got a job and they're still paying for it, they're seeing that £10 a month coming out of their bank account.
Sure.
That they were not getting the onward value from it. So that plan, as much as it helped me and it helped a lot of crew, at the same time caused me so much pain that it was not worth it. Honestly, we would have months where 200-300 crew members would sign up. I would get a 30 grand background checking bill from all of the companies. And literally I had I would literally take about, 900 quid in payments or whatever it was. And I had a 30 grand bill to pay.
You're oh, this isn't really working out so well for them.
Honestly, the cash flow model to begin with just was completely annihilated. Luckily, the investment allowed me to carry that one, and it was calculated, but it was.
Did you carry on with the payment plan, or
no, I stopped it. So
that was an expensive mistake.
It was really expensive. Yeah. It helped us. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. However, it was misunderstood from a lot of crew members, and now we've moved the other side of it.
What has been the best experience or lesson that you've learned since becoming a business owner?
This whole adventure for me is trying to build a product that people are really satisfied with, something that really benefits people, and something that really, really helps and does good for people. For me, I get gratitude and self-worth out of creating a great product that people really enjoy and people value. That's my one thing. That's where I get my kicks.
We're going to move on now and talk about AI, because I know that you are so interested and passionate about AI, and you utilise it yourself day to day.
Love it.
So we worked on a blog article with you last year, and you shared your thoughts on AI in the superyacht industry. How do you feel it's grown in the last year, and how do you incorporate it into CrewPass?
I don't think it's really hit the industry yet. Apart from people using ChatGPT to kind of create, can you write me an email to send to crew and whatever.
Or a LinkedIn post or something.
About coming home late and leaving their shoes by the crew mess door. Or an awfully generated AI image to post up on LinkedIn just to kind of go with a post. I think none of that, that's the only things that have happened that the industry has seen with AI. We're starting to see small things. I've written down some things there, there is a company, I'm not going to say the name, that now do automated summaries of CVs and everything like that. So you can clearly get a definition of who that person is just from a generated summary of all of their data that they've put in there. At CrewPass, we're now use AI to create a digital footprint of someone. So you post online, you create your LinkedIn profiles, you create your Instagram profiles, you post stuff on Facebook. We're now leveraging your digital footprint to create a full profile of who you are and to correlate all this information. It's like a social media profile, a social media check on the steroids.
Right.
I ran one on myself and it pulled my dog's name. It knew my dog's name. I don't know where I've ever even posted my dog's name online.
I think I'd be a bit scared to do that about myself.
That's one thing of how we're leveraging it. I'm seeing it creep in. The thing is, unless you are really technology adverse, they aren't quite at your doorstep yet. Unless you're willing to kind of understand and leverage how they work and piece them together, you're just going to use it as ChatGPT at the moment. But there are lots of things kind of coming that I think will massively change.
Sure. So you recently documented on LinkedIn how you're using AI to create and develop an app. Can you tell me about that process and what have you created?
So I created, and this was a very, very much a hobby project. How this came around, just to kind of give a little bit of backstory to why I did this. CrewPass, we outsourced all of our development to begin with. we had outsourced developers who handled everything. It was very like voodoo. Like you would tell them to do something, 3 days later, magically that thing appeared that you asked for it. However, it didn't always work right, and it was a nightmare. We got rid of those developers, and they handed back the code to us, and we had like no idea how this thing came together. We had no instructions, no nothing. And luckily, something hit the market called Cursor. Cursor is just for anyone that doesn't know, it's essentially a ChatGPT. Plug in your code base into it, and you can ask it questions and get it to write code for you. So like what a developer does, you just talk to it like ChatGPT and it makes all the changes for you. To learn how to do that, I set up a little hobby project, and it was called Vesselboard. It still is called Vesselboard, and just created an in and outboard very simply using Cursor, like an AI, to create an entire app. The whole dynamic of things is massively changing.
So was it almost like a social experiment for you to just see what you could create using what's already out there? And how easy was it to do?
Like pretty easy. Like I say, okay, right. It's just like talking to ChatGPT. Like I want to move this button here. I want this button to do this magical thing, and then bring the user back here, and it will nail it every single time. It will create the code needed to do that, and it will reference everything else in the code base to do it. You have to have some understanding of how these systems come together.
Sure.
But it is easy. And this is where things are kind of massively shifting in that kind of software development. I don't want everyone to kind of switch off right now. I'm just trying and explain this one as generally as I can. The gap to market is changing, and I think any crew member that's looking for a side gig right now, like it is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Before, when you created software, you needed a whole design team, you needed prototyping, a product manager, you then needed a development team, you need front end, back, like you needed hundreds of thousands to get a company off the ground. You can now download on your computer for free an app called Cursor, an app called Replit. You plug them together essentially, and you can talk to it like ChatGPT, exactly what you want, and it will build it. The companies are now shifting. They're like design teams are too slow. We're building something in like designing the architecture of something in like Figma, when you can just tell it to build it and it will build it
instantly.
Yeah, and you can launch a product that same day, whereas normally it would have taken months.
And months.
So like CrewPass, we're completely shifting towards this direction now and trying to build products quicker and drop stuff quicker. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting.
That's all right.
And I've enjoyed learning more about your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having me.